Hi guys, my name is Zareth. I'm part of a armor group called No Shame Gaming. We're actually more of a community, but I kind of head up the Arma section of our community currently. What I wanted to do today is I've done this before for my group, and in the past I've made a quick tutorial on how to use the F3 framework made by Fair and many others. There's credits somewhere on their website here. I think it's in each section that has credits for everybody, so it's not just him, but uh, it's a group project. And for me, I've dabbled in a little bit of this in Arma 2. I didn't play Arma 2 as much. I was really excited for Arma 3 to really kind of get started in this stuff. So I found this while looking for just something like some sort of framework I could use to get started, and it's really helped me tremendously in learning how to make missions. While I don't use every feature in this, and it's recently been cleaned up considerably since its first release in March. Uh, there's still a lot of features that I don't personally use, but that's the beauty of it, is you can disable and enable whatever you want. But what I wanted to do for this first part is just kind of put something together to go alongside Fair just released a tutorial on how to make a quick adversarial mission. You can see that right here. This is his website. I'll throw a description, or their wiki. I'll throw a link down in the description. And basically this outlines everything that's included in the framework, how it works, what files are used for each part. Everything you need to know is here. But sometimes it helps to either have some pictures, and I've got his tutorial pulled up here, and he's got a bunch of pictures to kind of help you get started. I'm going to follow this pretty loosely. I won't do the exact same mission, but I'm pretty much going to go from getting it set up, copying over, getting into the editor, and start editing, and to where it's basically a simple playable mission. And then I'm thinking later on I'll do some more in-depth stuff explaining maybe how the gear system works, which is really, you could spend 30 minutes talking about how that works. It's actually pretty easy. It's just getting used to it. Okay, so first thing you want to do is download it. Download link here. It's got a little link. I've already downloaded it. So it's good. I've got the sorry. Here it is right here. I downloaded it the other day. Basically, unzip it, and where you want to put it is in your MP missions folder. Now, this is basically going to be in your documents, and then I still have the alpha. You're not going to be working in the alpha anymore since we're now in beta and about to be in the full release here. So your MP missions are either going to be in Arma 3 or Arma 3 other profiles. If you've made your own profile, it's most likely going to be in this folder. There's my name right there. Open it up, and if you've never made any missions in the multiplayer editor or exported them, the folder may not be there. You can create it yourself, and it'll work just fine in game. What I've done is I've gone ahead and extracted it right here. Now, I think in his tutorial he just takes it and renames it base. What I like to do, and I think it might be explained to do this in the actual wiki, is anytime I make a new mission, I'm going to go ahead and copy this and then paste it so that I always have the default there. I mean, you can always unzip it again if you wanted to, but I just go ahead and make a copy of it, and then I've got my base folder here. If there's anything like that, any edits I want to make to this for myself, they're already there, and I can just make a copy of it. I don't have to do it for every single mission. So anyway, naming convention. As you can see, this is what I've used for my more recent missions. Co-ops. I've got the co-op, the number of players it supports, and the name, all underscores. I don't have the version in all of them. I've been really bad about that, but you may want to put a version like right here. I was working on a little framework for my group based off of this actually, and I have different versions here going. And then you've got the name of the map, and we use all in Arma a lot, so I've got Chernarus and Takistan, and we actually use Cell a little bit too. So I've got every map, but this is basically for Stratus, and you can change the map, the island, if you want to. You have to change a few things, but I'm not going to go into that for right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we're doing a TVT. I'm going to do 2 squads just going at each other. So we'll do TVT 28 because in this framework, a squad is 14 players. Obviously, you could change that to whatever you want, but we're going to go with that, and we'll just do like Aggie Marina. And we'll put my version 1 there. I've actually already made missions similar to that, but here it is. Open it up, and this is what the mission contents look like. Now, everything that's in the mission, units and everything, are going to be included in this mission file, and that's the base thing you need to actually run a mission. If you just went into editor and created a mission, that would be the only file that's in there. However, there are so many more possibilities when you actually have other scripts controlling things. So, first thing we do, and I've got this kind of pulled up in the background so you can maybe follow along a little bit. I'm not going to do exactly his, but I'm going to follow loosely. I'm sorry, I am clicking all the wrong spots. Okay, as we can see here, he mentions in here you got to edit this first, because what happens is if I rename this folder, it's not going to rename that for in-game. The actual name that shows up in-game will be in this file. Did I scroll past already? There it is. Okay. So right here, and under class intel, you can see that right here he's changed it up already to his new name. We want to change this, otherwise you'll have 2 F3s or 3 F3s if you just keep copying the mission and don't change this. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to TBT 28 Aggie Marina version 1, and then we're just going to do a little, I'll just say deathmatch in the marina. Not trying to get too fancy here. Then I'll save that, and now we can open it up in the game if we wanted to at this point, and it would have that name, and we're good to go. I will point out this: these things control what units are being used in the mission. So in the base thing, it's got all the OP4 units, independent units, blue 4, etc. If you wanted to change the map, you would actually have to change this map to whatever the name of the map is. I said I wouldn't go over that, and you would have to change the folder to reflect that as well. So, for example, Altus is supposed to release later tonight. I'm assuming that if you wanted to just convert this over to Altus, it was just going to be A3 map Altus, so you would change that to Altus, and then change that .stratus to .altus, and you'd be good to go still. Alright, so we got that done. Let's move on to, what's he got next on here? Mission header. Okay, so that's going to be the description. There's really two main files that control all the other scripts, and that's going to be the Init.sqf and then the Description.ext file. Now the description file, as he's got pulled up here, it's got quite a few things you can change here. First thing I want to change is, well, actually we can change this to, they've changed the game types. You can look it up. Let's see, he's got team deathmatch. Okay, so we'll do that. But Bohemia's wiki has actually all the different game types you can use. That'll show up on the mission browser list. And then our max players is of course 28, so we'll change that as well. Mission name, so when you're at the load screen, it'll actually show this. So I'm not going to actually type out TVT, etc. I'm just going to put Aggie Marina Deathmatch. And then at the bottom, it's made with the F3 framework. All this stuff is editable. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my name in here as well, since I'm making this. And then you can also change the logo. He's got his base logo here. Normally I would swap that out with our logo, but for the sake of time, I'm going to leave that as his. Alright, next thing is respawn settings. So there's many different options in this. I seriously suggest you go look it up on what you want to use. He doesn't go over in here, but I think in his wiki he does, or yeah, respawn settings. Okay, so there's 4 different types. You can respawn as a bird, which is basically no respawn. When you die, you'll go into Bohemia's spectating mode. 2, you'll respawn where you just died. I don't know why you would ever want to do that. And respawn 3 is you can put a respawn marker on the map, and when you die, you would respawn at that marker, for example, back at base or something like that. And then 4 is respawn in your group, or with your group. But for any TVTs, especially, for my sake, it's always no respawn. I just feel like it adds a lot more. You're a little bit more careful. You're not just running guns blazing if it's no respawn. So no respawn for that. We can ignore the rest. The double forward slashes denote stuff that's commented out, so it's actually not being used. Just scanning through this real quick, this stuff is controlling join in progress players, so that's people who join in mid-mission. You actually have to set it up for if it's no respawn, you have to actually set it up so that they have to join specialized slots. Otherwise, they'll just go immediately to the spectator camera until the mission's over. So JIP's always kind of an issue with making missions, but we're going to stay away from that for now. This controls parameters. Okay, so if you don't know, if you're ever the admin of your server and you're picking a mission, when you're sitting at the lobby and everyone's slotting, there's a parameter button at the top right, which you can select, and then you can change different options if the mission maker gives you the option to change anything. Well, this is where it's controlled in this framework. So the first option is debug. You can turn on debug on, which is great for finding any issues in your mission. Maybe something's not working right, and you can find out. Turn this on, go see what happened. He's also got a backpack, so you can control, no backpack, light loadout, heavy loadout. And we'll look at this in game too when we get there. If you're using Acre in your group, you can turn Acre on or off. This is pretty new with the last build, which is pretty great because I was having to add that into whichever mission I wanted it to have before or not, and now I can just have the parameter, and before the mission I'll just select what I want. Time of day, you can also change weather. All the weather stuff is disabled right now, and that's because I guess the commands aren't really finalized yet for Arma 3, and they just throw out a ton of errors. They don't work properly, so they don't work. There's an AI skill selector you can throw in there. Attack and defend AI skill selector. This is more stuff that you can look in yourself if you want to use. There's some name tags that are built in that you can use, and then this I think was recently added to the description text on this, and this is basically a briefing template for this. Okay, so we didn't really change much except the beginning part. So I'm going to save that, move on. Alright, so he did his mission header, respawn settings, load screen. Okay, and he jumped right in the editor. I am going to pull this up and just quickly go over this stuff. In the init file, you've got all these options, and you can turn these things off and on to your heart's content. You can mess with it, but a lot of these you may want to keep on. Stuff like this controls your parameters. This is so when you're working in the multiplayer editor, it's not saving the mission every time you leave, etc. So we got some other stuff for handling respawns. You can turn on teleports when you're making your mission, so you can jump around and find a good spot that you want to do this at. Obviously, you want to make sure you comment that back out before you put your mission on the server. Otherwise, everyone has that ability, as long as I think debug mode's on. And then you can turn off briefings completely if you wanted. If you didn't want to use a briefing, you just want to throw some markers real quick, you could do that. This handles all the parameters. You can actually go in here in this file, and it tells you the file that it's going to. So you could go back into F common. There it is. My fault. Okay. And this controls some stuff. You can play again the weather stuff you want to stay away from. But if you wanted to change the dates to what you wanted, like if you wanted a full moon night or you wanted a different time of year for your mission, you could change them in here. It's obviously month, day, year, and then time, so that's 5 a.m., 6 a.m., etc. So you can change that in there. going on. They've got the group IDs that he also goes over in the tutorials. Okay, this controller will end the mission globally for everybody. It's supposed to get rid of any kind of locality issues and just end it. You can turn on body removal if you have a much larger, say, co-op, and you want those dead bodies to get cleaned up to improve server performance. You can change the view distance if you want for the mission at hand. Default is 1250 for multiplayer, so you can up that for infantry if you wanted to. You can add in authorized crew, like only people who are slotted as a pilot can actually fly. Then the casualties cap, which is what we're actually going to be using for this mission. So we're going to uncomment that, and we're going to uncomment this. Now that I got there. So what this means is when 100% of blue 4 dies, we will fire ending 1. And if 100% of off 4 dies, we will fire ending 2. So that is done. There's some advanced stuff you can do as well, but that's all you really need to do for a TVT if you want to end the mission the way you want. More stuff about the AI skill selector, name tags, so you can turn all this stuff on or off. You can turn the orbats on or off. And this stuff for like GIPs, like you can join other people's groups in game. Okay, so that's just a quick overview. Take some time to look at it, look at the wiki, see what all the things do. Alright, so it looks like next we're going to drop into the game. Alright, and I'm sure most of you are very familiar with using the single player editor for this stuff. This is the way this is set up. You actually use the multiplayer editor, and you can always go in the single player editor and test any scripts you want if you need to. Okay, so at the multiplayer screen, just click new, make sure it's on LAN. Okay. Alright, and then all my missions that are in that folder will show up based on the map. Since I'm running the vanilla thing, I'm not running any mods, the all in Arma maps aren't showing up. So this was everything that was in the folder in blue. Everything in white is, I think, either single player missions or it's Bohemia stuff. Okay, so there's that default F3 framework, and then our mission is right here. Let's go ahead and, I guess difficulty doesn't really matter for this. Let's go ahead and click at it. There's our load screen, and now we're in game. Alright, first thing I'm going to do real quick here is check this. Okay, another thing to note is this is what we changed in the mission file. So there's the name, and then there's the description. So you could change that in the editor if you wanted to. If you were loading this mission up and you needed to change the version real quick, you could open this up and type in V2 or whatever your next number wanted to be. You check your basic other stuff, weather and stuff like that. Okay, that looks good. Sometimes this gets defaulted on at 100 for some reason. I was just making sure that wasn't. Alright, got our units on the map. Just a few things to note is we got these guys down here. These control gear. So they're calling the gear script. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get into gear stuff right now, but I just wanted to point this stuff out. All these units will use the default loadouts that are in F3. So you never want to touch those. You never want to delete those, because otherwise your units will have the default Bohemia stuff and not your custom stuff. Alright, and this comes with, mechanized and airborne stuff pre-done. I'm going to go ahead and delete all the stuff that I do not want. Divers, engineers. Actually, I want only one squad, so I'm going to delete all that. I don't need the command element. I am deleting my player here, so I'm going to add that back in on this squad lead. Delete the command element. Don't need the spectators. Let's go in here and change this to player. But my favorite thing about this framework, though, is I used to hate making playable units and then having to click on each thing and making it playable. This way, when you open up the new mission in the editor, everything's playable. So you just delete what you don't want, and we don't want any of the N4 stuff for this mission. We want to get rid of all the SOT4 stuff. Alright, and we've got our 2 squads. I'm going to go ahead and move them over here in the marina since we're doing a little marina battle. As of course you can put these wherever you want it. I'm just kind of throwing them down for now. Oh, I will point out this may be really confusing, but I do not use the new editor where everything's over here. I don't know why, but I got used to all the stuff on the right hand side, and it just threw me off with everything. I don't know. So I'm using this. It's essentially the same. It's just that I'm more comfortable with this. So keep that in mind. So your editor screen will not look like mine. Alright, so we got the the units. So technically right now we could jump in game, and if we had players, they could duke it out in the marina, and if one team's eliminated, the mission would end. It wouldn't really show anything yet. We got to finish something up later, but basically the mission's done. Like just for a pure TVT, we're good to go. But we need to add some other things to kind of help the players out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and click markers, and there's a few default ones over here. I'm going to go ahead and delete those. All I'm really going to do is just kind of put a boundary for the players. So we're going to let's just do a solid red. You always have to name markers, so I'm going to put boundary here. Let's do 500 by 500. And I'm going to change this because I do not want this to be. Where the heck? Okay, there it is. Alright, we got it. We're good. Let's drop this down and let's make this border. And it's a little harder to see, but basically just telling these players, try to stay within these borders. You could do some more stuff, like if they went outside the borders, it would kill them or give them a message warning them, but for simplicity's sake, little border. We could add other markers if we wanted. That's completely up to you. I'm just doing this really quick. And I think we are good in game. If we jump in game, you just hit preview. Here's that parameter button I was talking about. You can turn for quick death matches like this, I usually turn the backpacks off because you don't need 19 magazines. And you can change the time of day, which I showed you where it could be customizable. We'll do early morning real quick while we jump in here, and just slot somewhere and hop in game, and everything should be working. There's one last thing we're gonna do after this. Okay, I did not do the briefing. That, like I told you, that was explained in that tutorial. I'm not going to go through and just show you how to type in your information. Okay, you can do that on your own time, but I will show you where the files are. So you can add all this if or you don't have to use it. Most of the time I don't use this unless we're doing like a really complex mission. If it's a simple deathmatch like this, I'll just disable the briefing and I'll put some markers on here saying, hey, attack this, or hey, defend this. But anyway, you can see the group units are showing up. Since I have my difficulties on the default regular, we can see my units, which isn't supposed to happen. But you can see where all the that's basically to show you, okay, where's Fire Team 1, Alpha 1, okay, they're over there on that side of the map. Where's Alpha 2, Alpha 3, etc. So you can see them on the map to help you out with organizing or anything like that. Alright, let's go ahead and hop in game real quick. Sorry for rambling. Alright, so we are in game. And we've got our loadout that's customized through the F3 framework. And as stated before, I will do another one on customizing gear. Here's all our guys, the enemies over there, and we would just go have us a nice little firefight in the town. So let's back out, and fairly certain we are done here. I'm gonna leave the game open just in case. Alright, and the last thing he kind of goes over down here, this is all the mission, the briefing stuff. So to get to this, it's F briefing blue and F briefing red. So that's actually in this F folder. So I don't know if I explained this structure, but this is just controlling, this briefing thing is just controlling who sees which briefing. So you don't really have to mess with this. This is controlling just some player respawn stuff for gyps. So all the bulk of all this other stuff is going to be in this folder. Our server, this is where it's handling ending the mission and casualty caps. In common is pretty much everything else. This frecog is all the name tag that's optional, and this is everything else. So you really just kind of have to get used to what's in here. So anyway, the briefings are here. I'm gonna go ahead and drag Notepad++ over here because these kind of files you really need something like this to look at. And this is what he has in his tutorial, and you can change everything in here to whatever you need for each side. And that's where that is. But let's go back to description, because the last thing we were going to do here is for our endings, we're going to set it up to they tell us who won. So I think the first ending was when Blue 4 was wiped out, so we'll say Op 4 wins. I think he's got something similar here. Op 4 victory. Okay, close enough. So we're just changing that title. You could add a subtitle if you wanted, and description is all enemies eliminated. And then of course if you wanted to put some pictures or anything else, you could add that stuff in there. So all that stuff is there for you to use if you want it. Otherwise, don't use it. Ending 2 is going to be a Blue 4 victory. Blue 4 wins. And he's eliminated. I should probably say all Op 4. Blue 4. You couldn't get that by the Op 4 or Blue 4 wins marker. Okay, so we're done now. Just to kind of see what this looks like, let's actually hop back in game. This is going in the really just go through this because I think he did a great job with all the pictures and describing some of this stuff. And then if you're not sure on something, go back to the wiki and look up this stuff, and it will go into more detail on what the things do. I think this is pretty much. Oh, he's talking about the gear down here, but I'm gonna go over that later. So let's go back in game real quick. I'm gonna actually edit this so that we can quickly see if this works. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. And I'm going to disable AI and just put myself and one enemy AI. And hop back in game. And this time I didn't mess with the parameters, so it's going to be noon, and we're going to have heavy backpack loadouts. I got backpack on this time, but let's wait a second here and let all these scripts initialize so we don't get any errors, and then I'll kill this guy, and it should work. In a minute now. There we go. Full windscreen, and then it'll fade to the debriefing screen. There's our custom messages. There you have it. Alright, well, that's it. Don't forget to go back and re-edit the mission to move your guys back so it's playable. And then you're done. So if you like, or hope you learned something from this. Sorry if I took too long or rambled a long time, but I tend to go explain things a lot more than I probably should, but hopefully it helps you understand things a little better. My next one, I'll probably go over the gear script. I'm not sure when I'll have that done, but just keep an eye out for it. And thank you very much for watching.